The Cubs salvaged the series against the Reds because they saved all their offense for yesterday's game, destroying Cincinnati 13-4 at Great American Ballpark to save, avoiding the sweep. Paredes got his first hit with the Cubs. That and more on this edition of the Cubs Baseball Channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Get in that comment section. Let us know how you're feeling about this team as they string together some hits yesterday. Can they keep it going against the Cardinals this weekend? Here is your invitation to our show. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Cubs Baseball Channel. My name is Anthony Pasquale on Twitter at @Ant_Pasquale3. That's where you can find me. And you can also find the Cubs Baseball Channel on Twitter or X, however you prefer to call it, Instagram and TikTok. So make sure to find us on there. Engage with us. Get in our comment sections. We're posting a lot of clips and polls and videos and talking points on those different channels. So make sure to follow us on there and find us so we can talk Cubs on some other platforms. But let's get right into it. Cubs improved their record against the NL Central with their 14th win of the year against their division with a thrashing of the Cincinnati Reds, winning 13-4. Kyle Hendricks got the start for the Cubs. He was super sharp the first 4 innings, gave up a 3-run bomb in the 5th, but ends up with the win, his 3rd of the year. And the Cubs offense was awesome behind him. Ian Happ, 3 hits, including a 2-run homer out of the leadoff spot. He continues to rake in Cincinnati. Paredes got his first pair of hits as a Cub, scored 3 runs, was hit by a pitch, had a pair of doubles for his first hit in the Chicago Cubs uniform. Seiya Suzuki had 2 hits and 3 runs driven in. Cody Bellinger had 3 hits and 2 runs driven in. Patrick Wisdom knocked in a couple of runs. Nico Horner and Pete Crow-Armstrong each had 2 hits apiece and a stolen base. Everybody in the starting lineup, in fact, got at least a hit and either came around to score or drove in a run. So it was a really productive offensive game. The Cubs were excellent with runners in scoring position. I wish they would have saved some of these hits for some other games because it always seems like the Cubs struggle so mightily with runners in scoring position. But they were 9 for 15 yesterday. A lot of those hits being extra base hits with the doubles and the home run from Happ. So you get a lot of base running, a lot of traffic, 17 hits and 2 walks. So 19 base runners, 20 when you include the hit by pitch. But when you mix in 9 hits with runners in scoring position, that's how you put those crooked numbers up on the board in any given inning. The Cubs had 3 innings with 2 runs, an inning with 3 runs, and an inning where they scored 4 runs. And those hits with runners in scoring position, that's a huge reason why. And that's a big way to win ball games. So hopefully, whether it be this year or next with this lineup that we're pretty much going to have for the next couple of seasons, if they can start hitting like this in runners in scoring position, this offense is going to look a lot better. And obviously, Paredes being a part of it is a good thing. Cody Bellinger being back from the injury list is a good thing. It just completes that lineup so much more. And if you can start getting that production 1 through 9, this offense could look a lot different. And once you mix that with the pitching that you've had for the most of the season, it's a scary ball club. Obviously, I'm not counting on them to do it this season, but I think the pieces are there for them to do it next season. But one piece that isn't there is obviously Christopher Morel, who went to Tampa Bay in the Paredes deal. Morel homered again yesterday. The Rays took the loss in the game, but that's 2 homers in 2 games for Morel in Tampa Bay. Not super surprising. I think we can expect to see a lot of home runs from him wherever he goes, whether it was going to be with the Cubs or the Rays or wherever. He's a home run hitter. He's going to be doing that. And I'm excited to just continue to follow him hitting some bombs elsewhere. But hopefully the Cubs get the better end of the deal and Paredes continues to succeed in the Cubs lineup. Now, Jed Hoyer met the media yesterday. I think it was on 670 The Score. I could be wrong on that. But he made some comments that really point to the way he thinks as a general manager. And one of the things he said is that the Cubs are not counting on some of their young prospects to come up and hit and be difference makers right away. And I think that freaked a lot of people out. Like, oh, he's not confident in the farm system that he spent all these years building. No, it's not like that. It's just when he's forecasting the plans for the future, he's not just automatically penciling in, let's say, Matt Shaw to be a real difference maker the second he gets to the big leagues. He's forecasting a bit of adjustment period. Like we've seen it with Pete Crow-Armstrong in flashes, but we would all agree Hollywood Pete has not been the offensive player we expected yet. But when you give him the leeway to struggle and to stick with the major leagues, you have a little bit more confidence that he eventually gains his footing. Now, I think what Jed Hoyer is trying to say there is that when you look at Triantos or Shaw or Canario or Casey, that the Cubs do expect great things out of them eventually, but they don't expect them to be some type of savior to a struggling lineup immediately. And they're going to need some time to adjust to the big leagues. And I think that's just a smart way to think. Like, you can't expect your prospects to just become heroes immediately. Eventually, you expect them to be really good players. That's why you have them. And if you didn't, you'd probably trade them. You obviously have confidence in these guys to put together strong big league careers, but it's foolish to expect them to do it the second they arrive in the big leagues. And I think Hoyer, making some moves and making sure the roster can facilitate itself, even if those things don't happen, is just a general manager playing his cards correctly. Now, the thing that does come as a bit of a shock, or not a shock, but a little bit makes me upset, is Jed Hoyer talking about $300 million contracts and being cost averse and risk averse. And that's the part that I think is an issue, because if you're a big market team like the Cubs are, you can't be afraid to take a risk because you have the money to take the risk. I think the question exactly to him was worded, are you fundamentally against a $300 million plus contract? And he said, I wouldn't say I'm fundamentally opposed. I think with any deal like that, there's a lot of risk, which is fair. Obvious. There is a lot of risk. For as many Bryce Harpers and Manny Machados there's Albert Pujols with the Angels. And there's, guys that sign these massive deals and don't live up to it. Or look no further than Chris Bryant on the Rockies. But then you look at a guy like Manny Machado on the Padres or Bryce Harper on the Phillies, and you're like, man, I wish the Cubs had a guy like that anchoring this lineup. But then what Hoyer said was, I'm probably more risk averse on those deals than others, meaning looking to avoid taking those risks. Then go be the general manager of Tampa Bay or Pittsburgh or Oakland. Don't be the general manager of the Cubs and be afraid to pull the trigger. You got all the money in the world. We're paying $12 for a hot dog and $15 for a beer and $70 a month to watch the team on Marquee Network, whatever the numbers are. We're paying a lot of money for you to be afraid to pull the trigger on a $300 million deal. This team is constructed right now with the only piece missing being a guy like that. And if we have a general manager that's afraid to make that deal, what are we doing? I think that's like the big, it has to be the big question regarding those comments. Now, I will say, I don't think it means Hoyer's not going to be shopping in the deep ends of the pool in the offseason. I think he knows he needs to. His job is probably on the line if he doesn't. Now, there's still a way to be smart about it. Like, I don't think Hoyer was ever going to give Shohei Ohtani $700 million. I don't think anybody was except the Dodgers, because they thought about how they were going to defer it. But this Cubs team is going to be missing one piece. And obviously there's going to be a logjam at second base with Shaw, Triantos, and Horner. Going to have to move one of those guys. Coming up, there's going to be a logjam in the outfield. I don't know if it's going to be Suzuki or Happ, especially if Bellinger opts in. I don't know if it's Suzuki or Happ or some of the prospects, but you're going to have to move something there. But maybe you can pull off some type of deal where it's like you're moving Horner and you're moving Casey or Alcantara, and you're getting that guy back, whether it's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. or somebody else on the free agent market that you don't have to trade for. But you've got pretty much most of the positions under lock on this team, but you need to go get a catcher, and you need to get somebody to hit third and hit 30 home runs and drive in 100 runs. And then you got a really strong lineup. And I think that really is what the team is missing at this current moment. And hopefully Hoyer can get his answers this winter. But the Cubs, last place, 10 back in the NL Central, 6.5 back in the wild card race, 4.5% chance to make the playoffs with a just under 2% chance to win the division. But the Cubs are back home now taking on the Cardinals at 7:05 Central. A really good pitching matchup on deck tonight. Shota Imanaga, who is 8-2 on the year with a 2.95 ERA, squares off against Sonny Gray, who is 10-6 with a 3.79 ERA. Excited to watch those two guys pitch. Been two of the better pitchers in the National League this season. Gray has done it for a long time, and Imanaga obviously enjoying a very successful rookie season. So excited to see those guys square off at Wrigley on a Thursday night. We're in August now. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Cubs baseball channel. We always appreciate you guys liking and subscribing, getting on our comment section, ringing the bell, following us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, doing all that great stuff that keeps us engaged with each other, talking Cubs baseball on all the different platforms that we're able to. But for now, talk to you guys tomorrow, hopefully after a Cubs win against those brutal Cardinals. We will see you guys soon. Go Cubs.